I'm doing a recap of what we did during our last session, session 1 of Principles of Management. Welcome everyone to today's session. We are going to continue from where we left off. However, we are going to do a recap, right? And so that for the benefit of those who are now joining and watching on YouTube, right? Okay, so in our first session, we talked about where the origin of management, right? Because it was necessary for us to go back in time, right? And bring up the history and how management itself came about. And so we delve deeper into origins where management was seen mainly as an art, right? And we realized that it was solely because a lot of our um, knowledge on management now didn't exist then. Okay, and so I see people in the lobby. Let me see if they are still there. Has someone raised their hand? All right, I think Mr. Anand is helping me with that powerfully. All right. So it was we discussed how it came about management, and we spoke about it from the angle of art, management as an art, and we mentioned that it was an art because basically, right, it was an art because basically it came from different sources, and they had to rely on their experience, right? And their own knowledge or wisdom they may have gotten because of the knowledge on their experience. And so because of that, you would have different sort of people because each person carried their own experience. So if you had a manager of a company back then, before management became a science, right? You would have people use their intuition from their mind or their own experience. So let's say, let me use someone's name here. Let me mention someone's name. I'll mention Mr. Apia Sherry, right? If Mr. Apia had a company back then, because management wasn't a science, it wasn't structured, it didn't have a formula, right? It didn't have its own formula. And so people had their own so-called theories, right, as to how they would go about things. And this is how management was an art, right? So when we say something is an art, it means that the thing is based off on their intellect, right? Their intuition, right? Their experience. And so because of that, the experience, just a second, right? Because of that, their experience was limited to the knowledge on the course, right? Was limited to the experience, right? And also another good thing when something is an art is that the thing brings because you have that freedom and you are not controlled by a structure or a laid down theory to follow as a science, you now have that freedom to use your own creativity. So you see that within the art side of things, people begin to be creative, right? Awesome. And creativity doesn't really follow a formula, right? So this were some of the nitty-gritties that we were getting from the our previous session on management as an art. All right. And then in the late 1990s, just recently, some few decades ago, right? Unlike the other disciplines where their fields were created or theories were made, like let's say econs or physics, or they were made in the early 1660s, right? And so on and so forth. Even records have been found to have gone way higher than that, right? With management, it became a science in the late 1990s, right? And one of the people who is credited actually, was someone by the name, we look at his name here, right? We are just doing a recap, so I am not teaching these ones, okay? Where is he? Okay, so I'm going to mention his name nevertheless, right? His name is Mr. Frederick Winslow Taylor, right? So he brought up the idea that management should be a science, because he himself, Mr. Frederick Winslow, we looked at his image and so on. He was, and his background actually, he was a scientist, right? He was an engineer, and he had a company, an engineering firm, right? And then he studied based on his scientific background. He decided to delve deeper into the way and manner he handled his company, right? Which had to do with the people, his finances, the resources or the assets he had, and so on. So this is why it is imperative, right, for BSc IT students and the likes who are joining this session to be able to know about this course, because it is not everyone's dream to be in the white collar or the blue collar job for the rest, working for people for the rest of their lives, right? So knowing these things, right, the history of this, and would help them going forward in their management of things, not only in companies, but also with um, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry for the interruptions, right? And so also management with families and so on, right? So this course helps us to take care of it, because you could be the eldest in your family, right? So you have a couple of siblings that may be at your disposal. You may be a father of a family. And so you see, knowing management, this course is very essential to all. And so we looked at the father of management in the field of science, or management as a science, right? Management as a science. And with that, the father of it is called Frederick Winslow, right? So I'm not going to go into details. And he brought up some principles. We looked at them. You can look at the visit the video, right? Go through them. I'm just giving you an appetite of what we did. And we also later learned that he had some followers. So back then, school wasn't that, you know, common, right? As it is now, right? So in those days, you have people study under other people, other professionals in the form of apprenticeships, right? Yes, even after universities and so on, because they were transitioning from those that kind of education system, right, into the formal one that we have today. Okay, so he had about 3 followers, or a lot of them, but only 3 of them are recognized in our slides, right? And we look at them, right? Two of them was Lillian, and then Mr. Frank Gilbert, right? This in the slides. There they are, Frank and Lillian Gilbert. The principles that he brought on management as a science, they redefined it a bit, right? And you can see it as well. And later, one of his followers, also Henry L. Grant, sorry. I want to bite. It's almost as if I want to bite my tongue, but it will not happen. Anyways, so this is what these people, right, who were Mr. Frederick Whistler Taylor. Remember the name very well, right? The names are important, the dates. So Mr. Frederick Whistler, he brought management, he translated management from an art into science, right? And these were his followers, right? Henry L. Gant, Frank, and Lillian Gilbert. And then we looked at those refining that they did, his followers, and into details. Those were also in part of what we did in our previous sessions. All right. So we realized that there were some areas, and then we went to the areas where management, right, as a science was now categorized into subtopics or subcategories. So you realize that now that the thing has become structured, right? Now that the thing became structured, there was a need to ensure that we are able to classify the various groups. Now that we have it as a science, everything would be structured. And so there was a need to group them into like terms, as we call it in mathematics, right? And so these were some of the subgroups, right, that was brought up in the course of its categorization, right? So one of them was management as a science, right? Oh, someone has unmuted themselves. Kindly watch your mic, okay? So that you don't interrupt the class for me. Thank you. The session is being recorded, so let's put on our best behaviors, right? And so there was a need to categorize them because it was now being properly structured. And so you saw that certain people came in later on because of the categories that came. So management as a science, we now had subcategories, and one of them was management as a science in administration. And so with that, there was some people, right, general administration, who came up, and their names were, first of all, of them, his name is Henry, or was Henry Fayol, right? We also looked at him. I'm intentionally going back because I see a lot of new faces here. And if I proceed on today's session, there'll be a lot of chaos, right? So, and so I'm briefly going through this. We are doing a recap, okay? Henry Fayol we also looked at his image, the way he looks like, his background. He was also an engineer. So basically, all of them were related to science. And so you could see their connection on their interest in management, right? And so Henry Fayol was another set, but he wasn't understudying. He wasn't one of the followers of Mr. Frederick Whistler Taylor, right? He wasn't one of the followers. Mr. Whistler Taylor's followers were Frank and Lillian Gilbert, and then the other one called what's his name? L. Grant, right? So apart from that, these were also into separate things, right? Administrative theory. And the first one is Henry Fayol. He believed that the practice of management was distinct from other organizational functions, right? He realized that there should be a difference in the administration of management itself. So when it comes to management and its administration, he realized that there must be a difference. You see, these people had the science background and they knew what they were about. They needed, and they also had, if you notice, all of them had experiential knowledge coming into the course, right? Because they also had their companies that they were managing. And so from their experience and their science knowledge, they were able to define it in a well-structured manner. And another thing that he brought out, still on Mr. Henry Fayol, he developed 14 principles. So after deciding or coming to the conclusion that, look, there must be some differences even within management as a science. There must be some differences, something that we can follow as principles that will guide everybody when you are studying management as a science, right? So um, uh, uh, Henry Fayol was the one who brought up those 14 principles. You get it? So you have to know who brought the 14 principles. It's not Frederick and his followers. No, it was Henry Fayol. So put that at the corner um, uh, and of your head, right? And we are going to, this is what we are supposed to treat today. Okay, so we also have Max Weber, right? He also came up, but he said he brought a different angle. He's also a scientist, right? He decided that, look, there must be a theory of authority that will govern the way authority is given and received, right? So as when I say giving, how it is executed, right, and how it is bestowed on people. Is that all right? Awesome. So Max Weber is the one who developed this, right? And so we call it the theory of authority, which was based on the ideal type of organization, which was like bureaucracy. And we looked at what bureaucracy meant, right? Emphasized rationality, predictability, impersonality, technical competence, authoritarianism, and so on. So you can see that it had to do with people and authority, how you're able to predict rationality, reason, right, which is rationality, predictability, your ability to be able to predict as a manager, someone in charge of things, someone who is in charge of achieving things, right? It's not just people making sure that a goal is achieved, right? So it just happens that one of the duties will be to manage people, right? So impersonality, technical. So we looked at all these things. I don't want to spend time on these things. And we also realized that he published a book in the year 1916, right? In the year 1916, he divided a manager's job into functions. Right. So this was even before 1990, before management became a science. You see, Henry Fayol contributed to management in general, whether art or science. Let's note this, very, very important. And so all his theories were based on generalism, right? Generalized perspective of things, right? And so apart from the 14 principles of management that he brought up, Henry Fayol also published a book because um, he was a Frenchman, right? So I believe his name would have been pronounced Henri, right? Or those who understand French. Anyways, let's move on. But I hope you are following closely, those who were not part of this first session, right? So I'm trying to do all this within the first 30 minutes, and then we start with today's activity. Um, and so, apart from that, within that book, he divided a manager's job into basically 5 functions in that book called Administration Industrielle, Industrielle et Générale. That's the book. Okay, so let me highlight it here. All right. Huh. I want to know how. Okay, it's not necessary. Okay, so in this book, he divided the role of a manager into 5 functions, and it had to do with planning, organizing, command, coordination, control, right? And then based on these 5 functions, he developed the 14 universal, notice, universal principle. So it's not just for arts and it's not just for science, but this was for all. Are we getting it? We're following, right? And so today we are, if you notice, I didn't delve deeper into the 14 principles. And so today, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the rest of the 30 minutes to do that, right? Awesome. So when it comes to the first one, we talking about Henry Fayol's 14 principles, universal principles of management, right? Uh, the first one, he talks about division of work. And you see, there's no, you don't need to arrange everything as how you are seeing here. Okay. Huh. You don't need to arrange them as how you're seeing it. Um, you have to find a way to memorize it. So I'm trying to make it relatable as I can, as usual, so that you can create, I can create an event in your brain, right, in your mind, so that you can relate to that event and remember what was said, right, in that particular session. And so let's go. So number one, division of work, right, which also has to do with what? Specialization. So when he talked about, when he brought up division of work, right, as a principle of management, um, the idea, after studying his workers, he realized that look, when a task is given to you and you belong to a team, right, it is not by force to do all the things, right? So Henry Fayol, by this principle, was just trying to say that don't try to do everything yourself. Split up the task based on people's skills. So you notice that you have a company. So these are based on, remember, he was also having his own company. And then he was a scientist, right? He was an engineer, right? So based on these things that were happening, he developed like, no, if I'm, because your goal as a manager is to use that small resources you have to achieve the goal that you have set with your management or your team or yourself, right? So if you want to do that, right, you would need the help of others, right? So in doing it, you shouldn't say that I can do it all. No, there is a point where your company grows. You will need to bring in who people who are well endowed in specific areas, right? As the company grows, you'll be dealing with huge sums of data, huge clientele, right? Clientele, as we say, right? List of customers. They will keep growing unless you don't want your business to grow, right? these people will keep on coming. So it's either you have the division of work, of labor, which is also talking about specialization, basically. So you have people who are specialized in this. You see, there's a point in your business journey where you encounter that, right? So you don't try to do everything yourself. You split up the task based on people's skills. You recruit new people, right? So let's say you are in a soccer team, right? Today, Ghana and what was their name? Uh, is it Ghana? Can someone? I've forgotten the name of the country. What's the name of the country that Ghana played with today? Can someone help us?
Chad.
Chad.
Chad. Right. Chad.
Charles.
Wow. Is the name is Charles, right? Someone said Charles. Wow. I didn't know there was a country called Charles. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Okay, so Ghana and Charles, right? Is it not Chad? Is it Chad in Africa? Chad in Africa, right?
It's Chad, not Charles.
Yes, it's Chad. Thank you very much. So you are just laughing at me, your head, okay? So you are in a soccer team, right? And you have goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and you have strikers as well, right? So each one specializes in their role, even though they will mention what's his name, Mohamed Kudus as the main striker or so in the team, right? Because he ends up scoring the goal. Because at the end, your goal is to score a goal and score more goals and win the game, right? And so the person who directly scores the goal, you should know that that is his work, right? That is his work. He's basically doing it. That's the same way a defender may also prevent goals from coming into their post. So if a defender doesn't score a goal, you should know that, and he's preventing the goals from entering, just because he is not scoring goals doesn't mean that he's not doing his work. But you see, the praise goes to the one who scores the goals. You see the thing? And it is like that in all other teams as well. And so division of labor would help us understand that, look, there is a striker here, right? There's a midfielder there, there's a defender, there's a goalkeeper. Everybody is in charge of certain zones in the park. You see, good managers, right? There was a time I decided to look into the life of this coach, Pep Guardiola, right? And I realized that one of the things that had made him successful as a coach, right, was that, the field, the park that they play the football, the match on, he had divided the park into zones. So he knows that this is the area, the winger, right? There's a portion that there's a limit to which you must go. So he has divided the pitch into boxes, small boxes. So he has divided the task for each person. You see, this man, whether he knows it or not, he is applying this principle of management in his career, in his profession. And I believe this is just one of the things that have made his work quite simple. And because the system is working, this is why people don't feel people who love to be a bit, outside the box, don't feel comfortable with him. You get it? But if you want to specialize in a field and be well known, so you see that in his team, if you study well, you see that in his team is one of the few teams that you're able to identify that, hey, there is this defender or defensive midfielder who is doing so well. So you can see the likes of this guy, Rodri, even achieving world best player. Or was it not the one? Yeah, achieved world best player at a point. But he wasn't a striker. He wasn't scoring goals, not too much goals. but he was contributing to the team. You get it? So if you play well in the specialized role that you have been given in this principle, the whole team will do well, right? And this is evident in his coaching skills or his managerial skills, as we call them nowadays. We call them managers instead of coaches, right? So it's you can see the evidence over there, right? So the bottom line is specialization leads to better skills and more efficiency. And you can see this is just an example. I'm just using football, right? So number two, we have what? Authority and responsibility, right? So Henry Fayol looked at the whole business and then he said that, look, the idea is that if you give someone the power to make decisions or authority, right, they must also be held accountable for the results of those decisions, right? In other words, if they are being held accountable, it means that they are responsible to those people that or those things that he's in charge of, right? So not look at the key words here. He's been given power to make decisions. This is authority. So breaking authority into a minute or little components, you can say that it giving the power to make decisions, right? Someone who is given power to make decisions has been given authority, right? So they must also be held accountable for the result of those decisions, not accountable to anything, any other thing, but to those decisions, right? And also, and in doing so, that is where responsibility comes at play, right? Are we getting it? Are we following? Okay. So with this, right, this is where if it is a team, you have team leaders, right? You have team leaders, or you have in management, we have what? Middle level managers who help to implement the decisions, right, of the top managers. So we looked at the levels of management, and we realized that we have top management, middle level management, right, and the low level management people. They are also called the first line managers. We looked at all of those ones, right? So back to what we are learning, right? So number two, right, we have authority and responsibility, and I spoke about power. So power must be equal to what? Accountability. So in this principle, Henry Fayol's main idea was that, look, power must be equal to accountability. So you can't have power and you are not serving the people. At least you can't serve all of them, but there must be a level of service. So the power must be equal to accountability. Do you get it? Some people sometimes our people are giving power, and then you see some kululu, corruption, bribery happening in the corners, and you see them doing the enjoying parts, but you will not see the work being done on the ground. And so I wanted to mention a country like Nigeria, but I will not mention. So I'll mention a country like Ghana. But I believe this government is doing well, though, right, in terms of accountability and serving the people so far. I hope they don't change. I believe they don't change. I hope they don't change, right? Um, let's see what the future holds, right? And so power must be equal to accountability. The whole idea is that if we give you that power to make decisions, there must also be you must also be held accountable for the results of those decisions. And an example, let me cite one more example. If you make your star player in the team, right? So let me go back to the football analogy, right? You make the star player. So who is the star player in Ghana? Let me just say Mohamed Kudus, right? So you make your star player in the team the captain. That means that
Yeah, you.
you have given him, hey, who is that? Mr. Joshua Nan. You've gone back. Okay. Let's be mindful, okay? You can even turn on your camera without knowing. I think that one I've disabled it. Okay. So see that you are in the washroom and you turn on your mic or your microphone without knowing. You hear all the engine sparking and things. You'll be there and be laughing. Let's continue with the example, okay? So you make your star player in the team the captain. That means that in management, you have given the authority, right, to that star player also, right? If the team player plays poorly, the captain shares in the responsibility and must help fix it, right? You can't give power without expecting accountability. So that's why normally in the games, right, when they go to first half, sorry, the managers. I'm trying to use the word managers, right, instead of coaches. If I use coach, it means I want you to understand what I'm talking about, especially the ladies, right? But I understand that Ghana is a football nation, and so, I mean, who doesn't know about football? And today was a football day for Ghana. By the way, what was the score? I'm trying to make the class engaging as I can. What was the score today? We won by
One
I
five.
think 1-1.
1-1. Oh, hey. Now people are learning how to play ball. There's no small team. Anyways, so you make the star player the captain and you give him authority. And then the team plays poorly, right? It's not just the captain who played the match, it is all of us. But he is the star player, and so we give it to him. But everybody has a share of responsibility, right? But it is the captain that will be asked all the time. And so most of the times on the field, you see the captain trying to make sure that things are done. They will give instruction and then they'll go and check again. You see, they are checking if someone falls out of line. You see, sometimes when they have to play mind games, you see the captain trying to tell the people, hey, those who don't understand tree, it means that the captain can sometimes tell you, especially the strikers, those up front, right? When the opponent scratches their body with yours, no, just jump and fall down, roll on the ground like you have been stabbed with a knife. Okay, so all in the goal of winning the match, right? So he wants the team to work as a unit to achieve the goal, and this is one example of analogy of authority and responsibility. Okay, the bottom line is just that the right to give orders comes with responsibility for the outcome, right? Responsibility. So whether the outcome was negative or positive, there must be some people taking up responsibility. And that is the role of that principle called authority and responsibility, right? And so you have discipline, right, as a principle. And with that, you can also call it respect and rules, right? So if you study other management literature, right? I mean, books that has to do with management, you would realize that they use different terms for these principles. And so you see, as I mentioned them, according to what is in the slide, I also try and give some extensive side of it so that you will not just do it. See, what you are getting right now is not just chew and pull. You are so being endowed with these things that you begin to form your own words. That's the level I want everyone to get to. Okay. All right. But not forgetting the key words that will fetch you the extra marks. Very, very important. Okay. All right. And so this is how come you see me use the simple words and then interchange it with the technical words, right? Awesome. So discipline, which can also be called respect the rules, respect the rules, respect the rules. So the idea behind this principle of management is that everyone needs to follow rules and respect the agreements that keep the group running. Okay? Everybody needs to follow the rules. And not just follow it. You see, some people can follow it, but they don't respect the rule. You've not seen some before. When you become a leader of many, you understand. you see someone following power, but you see that the heart is not with the thing that they are following. And you can see sometimes it's evident in people, even their faces, or in their mannerism, the way they act, or the way they demonstrate things, in their execution of the work. You see it, it's evident, right? And so respect goes with what this following the rules, right? So needs to be followed. The rules need to be followed and respected. You see, the agreement that keep the group running. So what is the agreement? The agreement is that goal that you all have that we want to achieve. That is our agreement. If you are at the workplace, your agreement is with the firm is you are the data scientist over there. You are the network administrator over there. You are the accountant over there, right? That is your agreement with them. And you need to follow the rules that pertains to your course, right? Your field. Follow and respect the rules and regulations. So because the management would only bring to you what has been given them by the owners or the shareholders, because the shareholders also have board meetings, right? Depends on how large the company is anyways. So you should know that any of these things that they come and tell you are well calculated, are well planned. And so there is a need for you to follow it strictly, right? And make sure you give the necessary respect to every rule that you are giving and treat it as your own. Sometimes we tend to how do you call it, respect others when it's coming from us. And so one of the things, if it's becoming difficult for you to do, one of the things to do is that make those rules your own. When you make it, take it as if you are the one who gave the rules. You see, when you yourself, you want to do something and achieve for people to think that you are there, there's a way, a manner you follow it to the latter. Hey, these people. There's a way, a manner you follow it to the latter. And so this is what this principle of management is talking about for us to know into detail, right? So the bottom line is that no rules, no order. So where there are no rules in a field, right, there would be no order as well, right? And just look at it. In which company will you be in that there will be no rules? In fact, even in families, there are rules. You get it? But hey, where there are no rules, there will not be any order. Simple respect is essential. You get it? Very, very important. Respect. You see? Very, very important. All right. So you see me talk about people, addressing people, not just with the title, but it's because when you say with your mouth over a prolonged period of time, you begin to act it. So if I say, call this person by Mr., call this person by Madam, it doesn't mean that, oh, it's some way because you guys are colleagues. No. You want to maintain that level of respect because you want to think that this would not just be mere education, but you may see yourself in other fields, right? You may not know where you find someone tomorrow, right? Nobody knows. Only God knows. Let's go to number 4, unity of command. Unity of command. Unity of command. That means one boss, basically. So you see that the low-key term that I've given this technical term, unity of command, is one boss. One boss. Someone says one guard. Which musician is that? Says one guard. Yes, one guard. The idea behind this principle of management, right, unity of command, is that each person should have only one direct boss they report to. You see, the reason is that when there is a grapevine, what is a grapevine? Let's look at it together. Let's look at the grapevine. Grapevine. Someone will say it's fruit juice. There's a reason why I want us to look at it, so that in your explanation you could use these terms, because they are also terminologies for management, right? Grapevine, communication, right? So let's look at it together. Grapevine, what is it? Grapevine communication is the informal, unofficial, and often spontaneous flow of information within an organization. Are we seeing it? Powerful. So within an organization, spreading quickly through social interactions and employee connections rather than formal channels. You see the whole thing. Let me go back to the slide. Yeah. So there it is. You can read it. You can later go into it. You see, so before where is it? Unity of command. All right. So there it is. Unity of command, number 4. Hey, I have my time is just left with 3 minutes. Okay, so let me just do it quickly, and so that you prepare for DCIT 102. Okay, so let me just land. At least I want to finish number 6 so that we call it a day, right? Let's go back. So unity of command, right? You just want to have one channel through which the information will come. So some of you, sometimes, especially the rep, I don't like to talk about the rep things in open this thing. Okay, I think we have a lot of outside people in this, so I don't use the reps. Okay, but they know what I'm about to talk about though, so it's not necessary. All right, I will not bring my reps in the open. Let's use a different scenario. So in a different scenario, a player, let's go back to the team, the football team. A player should listen to their coach. Should listen to their coach and not try and be independent. You see? You should listen to their coach. The coach says, when you go here, there was this one, this player, they say they call him Balotelli. The coach will tell him that, Balo, when you go to the park, you have yellow card. When you go to the field, this player, don't go and how do you call it? Injure that player for us to get a foul, because you are our key player now. Because everybody have gotten injury. People are on how do you call it? They have gone on leave, right? If you are in a business field. Today I'm using a football. Today is a football day. I'm sorry, the ladies. So just a sec. Yeah. So if you go to the field, you have yellow card. You are the only striker that we have. Balo. I think it was Mourinho, right? It was Mourinho who was telling Balotelli, when you go, don't do it. That was the first half. And then when the guy went, behold, he went to choke the player, and the player too. Maybe the captain told him to roll on the floor. He rolled. The referee saw the movement and he said, "No, red card." That was the end of the team. You see the thing. So there is a need for us to follow the instructions of the boss. Let it come from one source so that you'll be able to track it. So if there are any grapevine, we'll be able to track that. Oh, normally this kind of information comes from the boss. We all listen to one person. We have one person. So when a different source is coming in, you are able to quickly identify them, right? So this is what one of the essence of unity of command that and what it brings to the management, what it brings to management, right? So a player should listen to their coach. They should not get conflicting instructions from the coach, right? And or the assistant coach, or even the fitness trainer. So if you are in a management sector, right, a company, not from the, you should know when to listen to the accountant, right? You should know when to listen to this one. I must listen to the accountant. This one, I must listen to the CEO. It depends on who you take instructions from. You get it? This one, and likewise, if you are a fitness trainer, there are some things that you are not supposed to attend to. Imagine a fitness trainer scouting for players. You just catch that person and will give the person the beatings of their life. You see the thing? So this is what it brings to. So too many bosses create confusion and stress for the people. Right. So the bottom line here is everyone should have one clear supervisor to avoid mixed signals. Right. So I guess this is one of the reasons why the IT department, we have a general rep system. But I decided, oh, let's have these coordinators at this thing so that we can relate, because we want to benefit from there, but we'll also channel and streamline communication very well. So you see me trying to bring things. Hey, Adi, I'm in Okay, so like I'm trying to make it practical. Okay, so I'm sorry if I'm hitting on old wounds. All right, so let's move on. Number 5, unity of direction. So I hope we get the unity of command, right? Our time is up. Do we get the unity of command? One boss.
Yes.
So one boss. Put it in your mind. The first one was what? Those who are writing. Okay, I want to let it benefit those who are writing. Oh, I don't get why they interrupt me when I'm. So number one was what? Division of
labor.
Yes, division of labor or division of work. Another name to call it what? To specialization. So I'm giving you tips on how to get it, like save it in your head. So division of labor into bracket, specialization. Number 2 was what? Number 2 was authority and responsibility. Yes. And this one, you can put it into brackets. Let's say power is equal to accountability, so that when you see it, you know how to explain it, right? And then number 3 was what? Discipline. Into bracket, let's say respect the rules. That's the things that I spoke about, right? And then number 4 was unity of command. One boss, or one guard. One guard. Okay, so number 5, unity of direction. Let me do it quickly, okay? Let me steal about 5 minutes of the time to do this quickly. The idea of unity of direction, into bracket, you can put it one plan. So after one boss, one plan. You see, that is one plan is what? Unity of direction. So direction means what? Plan. To where we are going. So you must plan where we are going. If you don't plan your route, how will you know where you are going? Because you don't even know where you are going until you sit down and plan where you are going. One plan. The idea, all the efforts should be focused in the same direction under one plan. The idea is that all efforts should be focused in one direction. So under this principle, unity of direction or one plan, this is what it entails. I hope we get it. This is what it entails. So an example of that would be like the team. When I use the team, it means that like we are planning. The entire team's plan is to win, right? By playing, maybe our strategy to win is that we want to go with strong defense. We must be win because this team, for instance, Ancelotti and Real Madrid used to do a lot of defense, right? A lot of defense, but they rely on speed, which is the counter attack to go and score goals, right? They'll be defending somewhere in the midfield and even their post. They will be passing like they don't know what they are doing. But when you come forward, they will throw the ball and they have very, very fast people. You have Mbappe here, you have the other one, the other guy. You see, so they'll run quickly, and that is the plan of the team, right? I think over time people got to know that they've been using it too much. So those teams that knew, they started scoring them. Anyways, everyone works towards that single goal. You see, you wouldn't have the defense trying to win by defense, while the offense is trying to win by high. Everybody, so if it is defense, everybody is defending. Nobody should try and do their own thing. It's just one plan, and we must stick to it, one direction. So this is what. So the bottom line here: teamwork towards a common goal using a single plan. You get it? Number 6, which I promise we end. I think my time is up. Subordination of individual interest. Into bracket, let's say team first. Subordination of individual interest. So in the slide, what does it say? Subordination of individual interest to the general interest. So how the people are committing to the general, the goals of the team are more important than the goals of any one person. So we are all sacrificing to achieve it. We are all sacrificing what we should have been doing to achieve this goal, right? So the team first, any other thing second or secondary, right? So that's the basic explanation of that. So that one, that long number 6 there, subordination of individual interest, team first. That's basically what it's trying to say, right? Then the idea is to be more important. The goals of the team, right? The goals that we have planned under unity of direction, which is one plan. We are now committing our all to it. And this is where we enter the subordination of individual interest. You see the thing? We subdue it, our individual thing. Hey, I wanted to go and eat, but we have planned that by 12 a.m. we should accomplish this, right? So a player might want to score all the goals themselves to be the star, but the team's interest is to pass to whoever, because at that time we are defending. So what they say, no goals. We don't want to exceed the goal. Like, we want to maintain it and close. Because if we try and do like we want to attack them, they might catch us. You see, they might catch up with us and then do this thing. I guess that the call was to draw my attention. The bottom line is just that the groups needs come first before individual wants, and that's what that point was trying to bring. If you have any question, because we are out of time, you can text me, right? You have my contact. Those watching on YouTube, you can write in the comment, right, section, and then you'll be attended to, right? So this is where I draw the curtains to today's session. Thank you very much for partaking in session 2 of UGBS 104 Principles of Management. Catch you another time based on the timetable, same time, another time. All right. Until then, bye-bye.